What's up everybody, welcome back to a brand new video on Lexalexus. Today we are covering the next batch of games for the Premier League. We've got some really good matches this weekend, including Liverpool going up against Manchester City. Arsenal and Leeds is always an interesting one as well. And the bottom of the table clash with Wolves going up against Nottingham Forest as well. So we've got some real crucial games to go over today. In the left hand side is the updated Premier League prediction league. Just in case you hadn't seen it in the community tab, this is the table up to date. And I've got to say, very competitive once again in that table. I am sort of meandering in that mid-table position. Still a long way ahead of the season, but it's clear to me that I've had a much better start with the Championship Prediction League rather than this one. So it motivates me even more to try even do even better. If you guys like what you see, please give the video a like. It just tremendously helps to grow this channel. Please do hit that subscribe button if you've not done so. We've recently hit 1,500 subscribers. Thank you guys so much for helping me achieve this. Let's try and go on a good push to 2,000 now, because that will be a really good achievement for this channel. And please also share the channel too, that helps as well. But without any further ado, let's start predicting these Premier League weekend games. Let's start off with Brentford going up against Brighton. I didn't expect this to be the opening game of the weekend to be broadcasted live, but it is against two relatively well-run teams. I've got to say, considering the sort of support, the fan base, and in terms of the journey that both of those teams have been round, I think both of them will be right up there for actually being one of the most well-run clubs in the Premier League. So I've got to tip my imaginary hat to both of these teams. They've definitely been progressing in the right way as football clubs. Now, Brentford have had a bit of a torrid form quite recently with 2 defeats in their last 3. Brighton, on the other hand, have only had 2 defeats in their last 5. They have had some really tough games. You know, they had Liverpool and Spurs back-to-back. They managed to, draw with Liverpool by 3 goals each and narrowly lose 1-0 to Spurs, where I felt actually they deserved to even get something from that game. So Brighton will definitely be a really tough team for Brentford to go up against, where Brentford, I do think since that start of the season where they picked up some great wins, including that 4-0 victory against Manchester United, I think they have slowed down a little bit. And for me, I've got a bit more confidence actually with the momentum that Brighton might carry something here. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for a 2-1 away victory to Brighton. I think the Seagulls will pick up the bragging rights. Let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. The next game to predict is now going into the 3 o'clock game. So let's start off with Leicester versus Crystal Palace. Now, this is actually a pretty crucial game because Leicester, if they win this game, they'll actually only be 2 points behind Crystal Palace, who they got to play up against. Now, Crystal Palace took a very important win in their last game when they managed to beat Leeds by 2-1. It was more than needed, to be honest, because had they not won that, they'd have been teetering just above the relegation zone. So I think so far this season, Crystal Palace especially have just not really kicked on like the way that I expected them to. But if we're talking about a team that's definitely not kicked on, it's Leicester. I thought that win against Nottingham Forest will be their springboard that will actually project them to some really good, consistent results. But then to lose out straight after their brilliant, emphatic win to Bournemouth by 2-1, it's not showing great consistency. And I've got to say, I think Rodgers is hanging on a nice edge, honestly. There's been a couple of trolls from fans trying to actually get, some subliminal messages about the manager's position by doing birthday announcements, which I never thought I'd ever see. I've got to say, probably quite clever, to be honest, but quite bad on their part. Going back into predicting, though, rather than talking about that, it's so tough, really, because I don't think either of these teams have really kicked on for me, so I don't have a lot of confidence. But I'll edge Palace, as I think they've got more momentum, and I think that just with a little bit more confidence, maybe that win against Leeds United will be their version of having a good springboard to the season. I'm going to go for a 3-1 away victory, actually, to Palace. I actually think on their day, they can definitely score some really good goals. So I'll go for 3-1 Palace. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Fulham versus Bournemouth. Now, you've got to say, I actually didn't expect both of those newly promoted teams to be doing as well as they have done. But in 9 games in of the season, for them both to be 8th and 9th place, I think is a really good position for them to be in, considering, in their last appearance in the Premier League, they both would have been in or around the relegation picture. So both have done well to actually get this position. And Bournemouth, what they've been able to do, whilst they've not won many games, only 3 games they've won this season, same as Fulham, they've managed to stay unbeaten for quite a bit. They're unbeaten in their last 5 games. Fulham have been gone on a good unbeaten run. However, they have suffered back-to-back defeats quite recently. They have faced, some tough teams though. 2 consecutive away games between Newcastle and West Ham. I know West Ham have not had a great start, but I would expect West Ham to turn good and they will be up there. So I do think Fulham have had really tough tests, and I think this game against Bournemouth could be a good opportunity for them to bounce back. But based on how difficult it is to beat Bournemouth these days now, which is something I never thought I'd say in a sentence, I might go for a draw here. I'm actually going to go for a 1-1 draw. I was actually this close to predicting 0-0 because potentially with Mitrovic being injured, maybe both teams will draw a blank. So I'll say 1-1, but I won't be surprised if it ends 0-0. Let me know what you think about in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Wolves versus Nottingham Forest. Now, I mentioned in the intro that this was an important game. I mean, if even one of these teams win, they will be out of the relegation zone after this weekend. Both teams have actually spent most of this season within the relegation zone as well, so it's very important for both these teams to try and, get a response and trying to get something out of it. Wolves, I think, are going to be the one wild card in this one because I don't know how they're really going to react. I know when they were managing this in their first game against Chelsea, they lost out by 3-0, but I think this was a Chelsea side starting to feel the new manager and just managing to get into his philosophies. And I think definitely Wolves actually need that. Wolves need that new philosophy and just time for the players just to play something a little bit different, a little bit new. Nottingham Forest have managed to end their losing streak, but at what cost? They were 1-0 up against Aston Villa, conceding to an Ashley Young screamer. It was a belter of a goal by Ashley Young, but they did have a couple of chances in that second half, and they really weren't able to actually, just compared to the first half, they barely looked any threatening than what they did. And I'd expect Forest, especially being at home, to really go for it a lot more than what they did, especially against a low in confidence Aston Villa side. This game against Wolves, if Forest approach it the right way, they'll get a result. But for me, I think Wolves can get a result. If they manage to get one win this season, which was one of their home games against Southampton. And I think Forest, for how poor they've been away from home so far this season, I don't think I can give anything else but a Wolves win, actually, as they're still looking for a new manager, as it's been confirmed that Lopetegui has definitely not going to join them as manager. It could be Rob Edwards, so things will be very interesting for Wolves in the next couple of days. As a prediction, I'm actually going to go for a pretty comfortable win, to be honest. I'm going to go for a 2-0 victory. I think Wolves have definitely got the players to potentially get a clean sheet again, and I do think Wolves are just better organised, to be honest. So I'll go for a 2-0 victory to Wolves. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. The next game to predict is Spurs versus Everton. This, I think, will be close, Spurs had Champions League action against Frankfurt, a bit of a wild game. It ended 3-2 to Spurs, so definitely a bit of a moment for Spurs fans having their hearts in their mouths. But, we didn't really see a lot of those games for Spurs, so I think it feels quite refreshing for many Spurs fans to have a really good, entertaining game on their doorstep. They've got to face an Everton side where I think Everton have actually done better than I think most people are predicting. They've gone a little bit under the radar, I've got to say. But if I'm looking at the stats, it is only 2 wins in their opening 9 games and with 10 points collected. And they've actually lost for the first time in quite a while, actually, which was against Manchester United. And I do think against Spurs, I think it will be a very similar challenge, especially with the fact that Everton are away as well. And I do back Spurs with their good home form at the moment. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for a narrow 2-1 win to Spurs. It has that feeling where I think it'll be close for the whole way through, but I think Spurs will just have enough moments to potentially break away. So I'm going to go 2-1 Spurs. Let me know what you think about it in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Aston Villa Chelsea. This could be a really important game for Aston Villa and Gerrard here. So they are only just above the relegation zone from Wolves by 3 points. Very, the exact same as Crystal Palace, as I was saying previously. And a bad result here could really put them in danger here. Aston Villa, to be fair, have actually gone unbeaten in their last 4 games, but with only 1 win between that as well. It's really not good. Steven Gerrard's Aston Villa team are just drawing way too many games. Their only 3 draws have actually come in their last 4 games, actually. And you would think definitely with some of those draws, you would think that they definitely would have needed to try and find a win in one of them. I mean, Man City's one was really, really good. Leeds, I knew they were kind of on the back for a little bit, but they could definitely have the quality to break through. And against Nottingham Forest as well, they did well to fight back. But once again, a bit similar to Forest, I think both of them could have had their chances to win this, to be honest. So it feels like Aston Villa a lot of the time just conceding first, and they've got to try and eradicate that in their game, to be honest. Against a Chelsea team where they're looking a little bit better, dare I say, with Graham Potter in charge. In all competitions now, we have had 5 wins in a row, which is fantastic for Chelsea Football Club, to be honest. 3 league wins plus 2 Champions League wins against AC Milan in between that as well. So our form is right. Our form is absolutely right, especially if we want to try and get a bit of a distance from the chasing back to try and cement top 4, because I think that's really all Chelsea can aim for at the moment, and then just hoping that the top 3 or even just one of them slips up somewhere. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a Chelsea win, even though I always tend to jinx them. I'm going to go for a 2-1 Chelsea win, and if Chelsea can't win, then I'm just going to confirm that I'm most definitely a jinx. So I'll go 2-1 Chelsea, which would definitely put Gerrard under pressure. So let me know what you think of that in the comments down below. Next game to predict for the Premier League is Leeds versus Arsenal. Now, I did mention this being one of those games which I'm excited about. And honestly, I do think it will be a good game. I think actually the last time Leeds played against Arsenal was actually 0-0. I'm going to actually say the direct contrast of that. And I actually think we'll get goals. For a start, Arsenal, I definitely think are going to be much more reliable finding the goal. And I think Leeds as well. I think Leeds definitely gaining a little bit of frustration in the moment. They've gone through a bit of a winless run, actually, you know, winning 2 games in their opening 4 matches, which was a great start for them. But since then, they've gone winless in their last 5, which is not great for them, really. Arsenal picked up a great win against Liverpool in their Premier League game, of course. Maybe a bit of fortune in it when I watched it live, especially with the penalty calls that I was calling out as well. But in the end of the day, you know, they favoured the fortunes and they managed to still hold on to the win. And that's sometimes the most difficult part of football. So fair play to Arsenal there. And I think despite with some of the injuries that they've got and some of the worrying ones they've got, I mean, Arsenal still got enough of a squad within them to completely rip Leeds apart. I think it's going to be a 6-goal thriller, you know. I'm going to go for a 4-2 away victory to Arsenal. I think it will be a really, really unforgettable game, but I really hope I'm not let down by that. But let me know what you think about in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Manchester United versus Newcastle. Now, this is a bit of a top 6 clash, you know. It's 5th going up against 6th, and you've got to say, either one of them, if they get a win, they'll actually get a really good bit of breathing space between one or the other as well. You're really seeing them at the moment being 2 of Chelsea's main rivals for that final top 4 place at the moment. So for Chelsea's sake, they probably would want both Manchester United and Newcastle to draw, especially if Chelsea do manage to find a win against Aston Villa this weekend. I think Manchester United have just naturally been a bit of a peculiar team. You know, they've improved their form a bit with 4 wins in their last 5 and only 1 defeat, which was that embarrassing 6-3 defeat to Manchester City there. So who knows what version of Manchester United we're going to get. But at home, I think Manchester United have been pretty good overall there. With Newcastle, they've actually managed to win back-to-back games, which has meant that Newcastle have shot up many places. Actually, they would have been right down there like in the bottom 14 at one stage, but Newcastle have stayed, you know, a tough team to beat, you know, with only 1 defeat so far this season, which is actually the 2nd least defeats so far this season, for same as Arsenal and Spurs. So fair play to Newcastle. They're definitely gained some consistency down, and they will be a force to stop this season. As a prediction, I'm going to go for a very good 1-1 draw, actually. I think we could see this game being very highly competitive, and I think both teams will actually cancel out because of that. So I'll go 1-1. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Next game to predict is Southampton versus West Ham. So Southampton struggling a bit right now. 4 defeats in a row. That's the longest losing streak or current losing streak, I should dare say, out of the Premier League currently. Then they've got to face a West Ham team where they've won back-to-back games. So momentum tells you that West Ham will continue their momentum and climb up the table, where West Ham could potentially climb right into the top half if they do get a win. And that'll be a brilliant recovery from West Ham, considering a couple of weeks ago they were actually like in the bottom three. So it's a fair play to West Ham for the fact that they actually used the winnable games and they've managed to not crack under the pressure against the Southampton team, where at the moment it's very difficult to put your finger if they're improving, whether they're going to potentially compete this season. So as a prediction, I think my safest bet for me will be predicting Southampton to win this game. So as a prediction, I'm going to go for a narrow 1-0 win to West Ham. I don't see many things happening in that game, so I'll go for a 1-0 away win. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. And now the final game to predict is the one game I'm really looking forward to. It's Liverpool versus Manchester City. Now, the reason why we're really watching this, I want to see if Liverpool are going to be a rival of Manchester City this year. They had a really good Champions League win against Rangers, a 7-1 away victory, with Mo Salah scoring a 6-minute hat-trick. So fair play to him. He's done incredibly well. I think it's the fastest hat-trick in Champions League history as well. So definitely Liverpool can have spells of really good form. And in fact, over half of their goals this season have come against Bournemouth and Rangers. So we need more of that from Liverpool. And unfortunately, I think whilst teams can figure them out, I just think Liverpool, in general, in the Premier League especially, their energy levels have just completely tanked. And I wouldn't say it's down to referee decisions or any of that stuff. I generally think at the moment they are definitely trying to build a team that's not at full strength at the moment, and they're definitely trying to adapt, especially attacking wise as well, with the absence of Sadio Mane. Manchester City were involved in a frustrating 0-0 draw in the Champions League against Copenhagen. They missed a penalty for Mahrez. There was a goal disallowed for handball, and Gomez as well being sent off for Manchester City as well. So that's three really cruel moments of VAR. I mean, yeah, all three really going against Manchester City, apart from the penalty being awarded, actually. So definitely, if they can move on from it, which generally Manchester City can, I do think they will be able to get something here. And I do think with that game against Copenhagen, I think Pep was very mindful about Liverpool. Anfield, it'll be a very tough game for Manchester City, because Liverpool, I think, are always up for it against Manchester City, with the two, really being the two standout teams for the last couple of seasons or so. I think we're kind of losing that with Liverpool this year. I think we're almost getting a bit more Manchester City this year. So it could be Liverpool's redemption game, or it could be Manchester City completely sending Liverpool down back to reality from what they were a good couple of seasons ago. So a lot riding on this game, a lot of stakes, especially for Liverpool. And as a prediction, I'm going to go for a very boring result. I'm going to go 2-2. So I'm actually going to say a draw. Not a boring scoreline, but a boring result. I can't back for either one of Liverpool and Manchester City to win. I just think both on their day could really offer something. So I'll go 2-2. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. So guys, that is my predictions for the Premier League done. If you guys enjoyed my predictions today, let me know in the comments down below. Make sure you guys comment as well, because you can get involved in the prediction league if you leave your score predictions in the comments down below. That'll wrap it up for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please do smash the like button if you enjoyed it. Please smash that subscribe button too, as we're trying to grow the channel. And please share the channel as well. All of that helps as well. Thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are legendary for joining in this video. And as always, I'll see you guys soon. Take care, everyone.